lately I've been watching a lot of After Effects tutorials and trying to recreate those effects in Davinci Resolve because I found it really is a great way to kind of get a crash course in visual effects. And one of the tutorials that I watched recently came from Film Riot, where they were doing this whole UFO scene, but in it, they replaced their sky without rotoscoping, which made me kind of go like, yeah, I hate rotoscoping. So spent a couple days figuring it out. I figured it out. Now it's time to show you. Let's jump into Davinci Resolve. So we're here in the edit page. I've got a couple clips here that I want to show you. One is just a cityscape, and then the other one is a house up on a hill. And we're going to replace the sky in both of these using two different methods, neither one of which include rotoscoping, which is super, super awesome. Now, there are a couple things you're going to need in order for this to work. First, obviously, the footage that you want to replace the sky in. And second is your sky. And you want to get something that's high quality because you don't want it to fall apart when you start grading it to try and match it to your original footage. So for high quality stock footage, I would go to Artgrid because, well, one, they're sponsoring this video, but most of you know that I've been using Artgrid for a long time as my go-to place for stock footage, and that's for a few reasons. One, because their stuff is super high quality. Two, because they've got a lot of it. And three, because they can give you access to the log and raw versions of the footage, which means it's not going to fall apart when you start grading. And right now is the perfect time to sign up for Artgrid because they're giving $100 off of annual plans. You get 2 months free if you sign up using the link in the description. And they've got this whole Hollywood VFX pack going on, which is super. I downloaded it. It's a bunch of really cool stuff. So Artgrid will be linked below if you want to check them out. I highly suggest you do because, sponsorship aside, I really do think they are the best place to get really high quality stock footage that you can use in both your personal and commercial projects. Thank you so much, Artgrid, for sponsoring this video. Let's do this thing. Let's start with our cityscape. I'm going to show you kind of a quick and dirty way to do a sky replacement. First thing that we need to do is drag our sky onto our footage. We're going to use this sky right up here in my source monitor. Just drag it down and we'll go ahead and trim it to fit. Come back over here, select our sky and go into the color page. Now let's go ahead and add a serial node real quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a power window. So we'll come down here and we will use our pen tool and we're going to create a power window. I think our skyline starts around here. But we'll just start off with this square and we're going to come back into our nodes. We're going to right click. We're going to hit add alpha output and we're going to drag a line between the blue box on our power window node and our alpha output little blue dot over here. And well, I got that pretty close actually. We are just up at the skyline, but what we want to do is just finesse this a little bit. We're not rotoscoping. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to make sure that our skyline isn't really being cut off by anything. We're gonna trim it just a little bit, and that should work fairly well right there. Now all we need to do is come down into our transform for our power window, and we are going to increase our softness. We'll go inside a little bit and outside a little bit, and what this is doing is it's kind of blending the two skies together. Just gonna play around with it until it looks good. Maybe move some of these dots a little bit. And I think that's looking pretty good right about there. Let's go ahead and hit a serial node. And here is our almost final image. This is our image where it's replacing the sky. And the only issue here is there is a little bit of a haze because we were just softening that power window, but everything is still there. You can still see everything and it actually blends fairly nicely. All we need to do now is kind of color match this footage. So let's go back to our first node here and I'm just going to bring the temperature down a little bit. I'm going to come into my curves. I'm going to drop that just a little bit and bring down my saturation. There we go. I think that's good. So we've replaced our sky, but how do we actually like make this look good? How do we make it look like this was all shot with the same camera at the same time? How do we make it look like it's one single clip? Well, there's a couple things you can do. First thing I'm gonna do is come back to the edit page, and I'm just gonna highlight these and turn them into a compound clip. And we're gonna come back into the color page. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a serial node, and we're going to throw a color space transform on this node. And we're gonna switch our output gamma to Cineon Film Log. And then we're gonna come into our LUTs and go to Film Looks. And I'm going to, yeah, I like that. Rec 709 Kodak 2383 D55. So what we actually need to do here is add a new serial node. There we go. We'll add that there. We'll add one more node, and just for good measure, let's just go ahead and throw one more LUT on there. Maybe, I don't know, I kind of like Devil's Rejects a little bit. Let's go ahead and throw that on there. Get a nice creepy look here, and then we'll come over into our key and we'll just dial that back a little bit. And there we go. So that's, like I said, the quick and dirty way to do it. It does leave that haze at the skyline, which does help blend it in a little bit. But if you want everything to be sharp, maybe you want everything from that original image to be in front of the sky, there's something else you can do. Let's head back to the edit page and take a look at our second clip here. We've got this house up on a hill. We like the house. We don't want this to be hazy at all. We want everything here to be in front of the sky. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna select this clip. We're gonna go into the color page, and we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna create our own Luma matte, and it's really easy to do. All we're gonna do is come down, bring our saturation all the way down, and we're gonna head over to our curves, and we're just gonna bring our black point in. We're gonna take our white point and bring it up, and there you go. We've got a Luma matte here. The only issue is if we set this as a Luma matte as it is, then our sky would actually show up in the black areas, and we don't want that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another serial node, and we're gonna come down into Resolve FX Color, and we're going to add an invert color effect, and that's going to make the sky area black and everything else white. And then what we need to do is we need to come to our deliver page, and we're going to name this Luma matte, and we can just do it as a QuickTime H.264. That doesn't really matter. It can be 1080p or 4K or whatever. That doesn't really matter. We set our destination, and we hit add to render queue and hit render. All right, next step is to head over to the media page, and you'll see that I go into my sky replacement folder. We've got our Luma matte here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna right click and come down to add to media pool as a matte, and there we go. All right, let's come over to our edit page, and we're just gonna delete this. First thing we need to do is drag our sky. We're gonna do this cloudy sky. I'm gonna try and make this kind of a dark and moody scene here. So we're gonna grab our sky, and then we're gonna grab the clip of our house, trim this to fit, make sure this is selected, head over to the color page. Again, we're gonna add a serial node. We're gonna right click on the serial node. We're gonna hit add matte, timeline mattes, Luma matte, and then we're going to add another alpha output. And when we connect that, now we've got a brand new sky. It's a time-lapse sky too, and everything else is still. That's not bad looking. But now again, what are we gonna do to match the sky with the footage? Let's go ahead and come back to our very first node here, and we're going to pull this down. We're gonna desaturate, play around until it looks like it matches fairly well. I think that's pretty good right there. Let's come back to the edit page, and once again, we're gonna create a new compound clip, and we'll come back into the color page, and we'll do the same thing here. We'll add a serial node, we'll grab our color space transform, output gamma will be Cineon Film Log, add another node, come into Film Looks. Okay, there we go. Rec 709 2383 D65. Boom, there we go. And once again, let's come into our LUTs, kind of like that right there. Let's go ahead and drag that on there and head back to our key, dial that back just a little bit. Maybe come back to our very first node, bring our highlights down, maybe even bring our shadows down a little bit. And now if we take a look at it before and after, we can see we had this nice, pretty kind of sunset picture going on. We turned it into this dark and moody kind of creepy thing, and it looks really good. So there you go, 2 super quick ways to replace the sky in your videos without rotoscoping. Would you like to see more stuff like this on the channel? Let me know in the comments, because I'm having a lot of fun figuring stuff like this out and I want to share it with you. So let me know, and in the meantime, go watch this video right here because I think you'd really enjoy it. And thanks for watching. I'll see you later.